The sharing of one's own experiences, especially ones that are traumatic, can be intensely therapeutic. It really does bring people together. It makes people feel like they're not alone, and that is the central theme of our project. We don't want people to feel isolated in a sea of people. Our story is actually about stories. It's a little bit of a meta story in that way. And we want to talk about the collective power that these stories can represent when enough voices contribute to the storytelling that the sound must be heard. The stories in our project are about safety, perhaps the most fundamental component of a fully engaged civic life. If we don't have safety, if we don't have that sense of safety, how can we move through our city? We can't. Yeah, there you go, thank you.
That's the answer, that's correct. So if someone comes up to you, you finished your day, you're on the bus, maybe you're trying to read and relax a little bit, and someone comes up and they go, "Hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Where are you going?" What's your initial response? Do you want to strike up a conversation with them? Or are you thinking, "Oh no, I just wanted to get home. I'm really not into it. I'm not feeling a conversation right now. I'm feeling my book, and I'd like it to stay that way." If you have the latter response, it might be because you had a situation where somebody did approach you, and it started off innocently enough, but then it became something that was very uncomfortable for you. So for myself personally, I've been followed off the bus before. I was actually followed to an apartment, and the person who had followed me off the bus kicked the door in, and it was just not fun times for anybody. Definitely not for me, at least. And then Katie has also had experiences that have been less than pleasant.
Absolutely. I've had people just unable to take no for an answer. My disinterest clearly signaled. I have had drunk men rip my headphones out of my ears, which is great, a really nice approach, very subtle. And Alexa and I, in the interest of speaking to a course assignment, we thought, like, where are we most uncomfortable in the city? And we realized it's on transit, which is so essential to our daily life. What are we going to do about it? We started talking to our friends. We shared our stories. They shared theirs. There was a lot of echoing going on, much like the audio set up here. And we were just hearing back the same things that we were saying and realizing, wow, this is a conversation that desperately needs to happen. We need to speak to power. We need to ask the public if it's just us. And as it turned out, it is not just us.
Definitely not. Just by show of hands, who's experienced this and been uncomfortable? If we could just...
That's
perfect. Not perfect.
That's like almost every woman in the room,
yeah.
And certainly more than half the room.
Yeah.
And a couple, well, yeah, of
that
course.
That happens too.
So, but how do we aggregate these stories of harassment and assault? How do we get this message out there? What is the best methodology?
Yeah, so basically we wanted to reach as many people as we could, and we wanted to hear as many stories as we could and see if we could pick up common themes and common concerns. So we went to the internet. And we decided to start a blog. It's called Harassment on Translink, and we want to solicit as many stories as possible. So we put it on Facebook, and we tried to get as many of our friends and our acquaintances to respond and to hopefully pass it on. And within a couple of days, it was a lot more resounding than we had expected. And we managed to get in contact with a couple of large media outlets and get our story out there and get even more stories from people who had experienced harassment. And the stories range from fairly commonplace, somebody trying to talk to you, maybe somebody leering at you a little bit, to some more extreme cases of harassment.
The ones that really stick out for me are the foot fetishists, the gentlemen that have asked women to step on my hands, let me touch your shoes. Just really disturbing stuff. We've received over 160 submissions to our site, and each one is kind of a little bit more nauseating than the last. Within 4 days, we were into our 14th interview of the day. which weren't scheduled at all. They just followed us up to campus and were talking to Breakfast Television and Global and CBC and the province. And we've never had this kind of experience before. But it was into our 14th interview of the day where we looked at each other and locked eyes and were like, wow, people are paying attention. That's never happened before.
Yeah, so it did catch us a little bit by surprise, but it also really made us realize that this is something that people really want to talk about. And in casually talking with people, we absolutely got that sense. Talking to friends, if you bring it up, they're going to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, I had this weird story over the weekend. I recently went out this week and I had 2 of my friends talk to me about something that had just happened. So we found that when we were able to open it up to a broader audience, that we had so many people who really wanted to talk about it and tell their story, and they didn't really know where to go, and they didn't really know what was going to be done about it, if anything.
These stories created a chorus of voices that alerted the media and then ended up getting us in contact with the chief of the transit police, who invited us to sit on his community council for safety. So, thank you. But I do want to address an aspect of the stories that is extremely important, and that is that the sharing of one's own experiences, especially ones that are traumatic, can be intensely therapeutic. And realizing that other people are doing the same is just, like, it really does bring people together. It makes people feel like they're not alone, and that is the central theme of our project. We don't want people to feel alone. We don't want people to feel isolated in a sea of people.
Yeah, and one thing too is that I think that we can all sort of agree that Vancouver has a bit of a reputation for being a little bit individualistic, and sometimes we have trouble connecting and we have trouble feeling like we're really part of a community, and that we have neighbors instead of strangers around us. So we really want to encourage having neighbors and feeling home and feeling comfortable in our cities instead of just existing in them. We want to feel a part of them.
And we want people to know that not only are we listening, the transit police are listening, and they don't want people to feel alone. They don't want people to feel like they are a victim waiting to happen. They want people to know that you will be taken seriously if you come forward to them. And that has been perhaps the most powerful takeaway of this project for me. I can only speak for myself, but hearing so many stories concluded with, thank you for doing this. Thank you for giving us a place to tell these stories, a place where we can share that this has happened to us and we're not just hysterical. Like, this is real. And thank you. Yeah. And that's been incredible. Thanks.